Hi, my name is Simon Leander. I'm a music producer, engineer and multi-instrumentalist from Germany. Today you will get a detailed tutorial on Yamaha's newest finger drum pad, the FGDP 50. The cool thing about the FGDP is that it's not the usual pad-style controller. With its ergonomic pads and the 3-finger style technique, it's very natural, easy and fun to play. Although the FGDP has plenty of presets in various genres, today you will learn how to edit them to your liking with the internal functions. Let's say I really like this preset, but I would prefer a different sounding snare drum. For this change, we have to go into the Voice Edit menu. To do that, click the right arrow 3 times until you see Voice Edit on the screen. Now press Enter and you can see the category our current snare drum sound is in. In this case, it's snare electric. When I play another pad, it automatically changes to the pad's voice. For example, when I hit the kick, it's saying it's in the category Kick Electric. Now we go back to our snare drum. If you press the right arrow once more, you can now see all of the sounds inside this category by pressing the plus or minus button. You can now listen to all the sounds in there and choose the one you like best. So, I found my favorite snare drum sound. But what if I want to change some more parameters for that sound? By clicking the right arrow one more time, we will get to the 9 different adjustable parameters. These are volume, pan, tuning, decay, cutoff, resonance, reverb send, the chorus send and the variation send. Let's edit our snare drum sound with some of these parameters. I don't want to change the volume. Pan is also fine for me, but I want to change the tuning now. With the plus or minus button, I can change the tuning of my snare drum sound. This sounds cool to me. By the way, in acoustic drum sounds, this tuning parameter will be applied to adjust the drumhead's tuning or to alter the diameters of cymbals. Now, for my taste, the sound is a little bit too long. So by clicking the right arrow again, I can change the decay of the sound. So from very short to very long and everything in between. This decay parameter functions similarly to placing drum mutes on snare drums or cymbals. Moreover, if applied to an open hi-hat sound, it will mimic the effect of a half-open hi-hat. Feel free to experiment with various settings. Now, I also want to change the cutoff frequency. So it's a high cut and we can take off some higher frequencies to have a darker sound. To add character to the sound, I could also add a little bit of resonance to the filter. Now I would like to add some effects. When dealing with effects, please note that the impact of applied effects is determined by multiplying the value set for each send amount in Kit Edit and Voice Edit. This means that if neither send amount is set to 0, the effect will not be applied. My suggestion is to first decide on the effects for the entire kit in Kit Edit and then adjust the amount of effects to be applied to each voice in Voice Edit. Let's begin with Kit Edit. If you press the right arrow button once, you will see Kit Edit. Press Enter. Press the right arrow once again and you can choose the reverb type. Once you've decided on the type of reverb effect, you can adjust its depth by modifying the reverb send parameter. In Kit Edit, I would set the amount to 127 for all effects, so you only have to adjust the depth for each voice in Voice Edit from here on. Follow the same procedure for the chorus effects block and variation effects block. You can choose from various types of effects to add to the kit. Next, adjust the amount of effects for each voice. For example, if you want to add a distortion effect to the snare drum but not the kick drum, go to the Voice Edit menu, hit the kick pad and press the arrow several times to access the chorus send menu and set it to 0. This way you can have a distorted snare and a natural kick. By combining Kit Edit and Voice Edit, you can even apply different effects to different voices, such as distortion for the snare, delay for the hi-hat and so forth. To achieve this, you need to set both distortion from the chorus effects block and delay from the variation effects block in Kit Edit. However, set chorus send to 0 for the hi-hat and the variation send to 10, for example. And do the opposite for the snare drum. Set the variation send to 0 and the chorus send to 50. Now we changed the tuning of our sound, the decay, filter and resonance, and also added some reverb, chorus and the variation send. After editing a sound, you can hit Exit to go back to the main kit view. If you want to save your changes, you just hit Enter, choose a location where you want to save the sound, choose a name and hit Enter again. So now I've changed the kit sound and I can play with it. Let's say I want to use a sound I recorded myself and sample it. For this, I could take the default voice memos app on my smartphone. After recording the clap, I would now send it to my DAW, in my case it's Cubase, and trim the beginning and the end of the sample so it's playable. Make sure your voice memo app records in the correct import format for Cubase, for example in a WAV file, AFF or MP3. After trimming your sample, you can now export it as a WAV or AFF file in 16-bit 44.1 kHz and load it onto a USB flash drive. After plugging the USB flash drive into the FGDP, we now have to load our sound into the instrument. For that, we press Menu, then we hit the right arrow until we see File, press Enter and then go to One Sample. Press Enter again and load your sound. Now we can go back to Kit and change our default snare sound to our user sample. Like in the beginning of the video, you go to Voice Edit, press Enter, hit your snare drum, and then go to the category User Samples. Press the right arrow and choose your user sample. After choosing our sample, you can again edit your sample with all the inbuilt effects of the FGDP. For instance, you can use delay effects on this clap. Like I showed you earlier, you can now save your preset with your own recorded user sample. Alright, let's have a look at more internal editing with the pad edit menu. Besides the normal voice editing features like volume, cutoff, tuning or all the 3 send effects, the FGDP offers more in-depth ways to sculpt your sound and your kits. Many of these functions can be found in the pad edit menu. To find the pad edit menu, you simply hit the right arrow 2 times and press enter. The first option you can see is the note repeat function. When you hit and hold a pad, you can determine the subdivision or ratio the note repeat should do. Of course, it depends on the BPM or tempo you set. The numbers of the designated pads appear on the right corner of the LCD screen. For this example, I want this hi-hat sound to play in 16th notes, so I press the plus button until I see 16 notes. Now I can press and hold the pad. If you change the tempo, you can achieve a faster or slower note repeat. The note repeat function sets whether a pad is playing the downbeat or on the upbeat of your note repeat. For example, if I have a 4/4 bar and a quarter note repetition, in the down setting the notes would always play on all 4s. If I have the up setting, the notes would play as quarter notes but on the ends of the bar. The next function is the note repeat hold mode. With the note repeat hold mode, you can press a pad 1 time and it will continue playing the sample until you hit it again. By combining hold mode on several pads, you can utilize the FGDP like a drum looper to accompany you while playing another instrument or play with other pads for a more complex performance. So again, you can save all the changes you made with the note repeat and note repeat hold mode to your kit. Another important feature is the choke groups and choke mode. By hitting a pad, you can mute all other pads in the same choke group. In this example, I have 2 hi-hats, a closed one and an open one. Now, if I want the open hi-hat sound to mute when I hit the closed hi-hat, I have to put both pads in the same choke group. After that, I have to set the choke mode. The choke mode defines whether the pad sends or receives the choke signal. In this case, the closed hi-hat sends the signal and the open hi-hat receives the choke command. So now, when I hit the open hi-hat and shortly after the closed one, the open hi-hat gets choked. Another great function is the link group and link mode. With this function, you can playback multiple voices by only hitting one pad. For example, I want this hi-hat sound also be played when I hit the snare pad. Or I could link different types of kick drums and make the sound more punchy, for example. To achieve this, you have to put both pads in the same link group. Then you have to set which pad sends and receives the link signal. If you want to go a step further, you can also adjust the velocity of each pad to achieve that the linked hi-hat sound is only played when you hit the snare pad at a certain velocity. You can set a velocity low and high value for this. The last big feature in the FGDP I want to show you are the Aftertouch possibilities. To get to the Aftertouch functions, you have to get into the Pad Edit menu, then hit Enter and scroll to the end of the categories after hitting Enter again. Now you can see all the possible functions Aftertouch offers. In my example, I used 3 different types of Aftertouch possibilities. The first one is voice choke. This means if I press the pad and press it further, the voice chokes itself. The second Aftertouch function I used is the cutoff filter. The further I press into the pad, the more high frequencies will be filtered. My third Aftertouch effect is the reverb send on this snare sound. You can also choose whether you want the Aftertouch effect to be applied only to one voice or if it should apply to the whole kit. So when I press this snare sound and press further, the clap sound on this pad also gets the reverb effect. You can change this option in the Aftertouch settings. So, if you want to fine-tune your Aftertouch settings, you can set the threshold when your Aftertouch activates depending on your velocity, or you can also change the gain, which sets the overall amount of the effect. Awesome! Let's see and hear all the different parameter changes we made in this video in action together.